Welcome to this video on the subject of mistakes, the fifth video in the foundation series of the Desperate Pianist. The videos that work out things to a deeper level than other videos. We all make mistakes, and yes, that was a genuine typo, so I left it in. But unlike the modern fashion where we're encouraged to make mistakes and learn by them, when we're playing the piano, and like that bus driver, making a mistake is not a good thing. So we'll dedicate this video to finding out how we can make ourselves a lot less mistakey. The first thing to say is that there is nothing perfect in this world. There is no perfect banana, and even if there was, people wouldn't agree on what it was, and so there is no perfect playing of a piece. There never will be, and there never has been. So you just don't need to worry about perfection because it's unobtainable. All we have to do is persuade our listeners that they're listening to a perfect piece or they're seeing a good banana. Even a flawed banana tastes good anyway. And even if we did, the listener's ears and brains aren't 100% accurate either. They've got an idea of what perfection is, and it isn't going to be what we're playing. So just release yourself from that idea. Another thing to say is that judge your success on where you've come from, on the improvements you make, not some kind of perfection in the far distance that you hope to achieve one day. A mistake is not a simple concept. There's a whole load more stuff going on in the background when you hit a wrong note. You're always going to make mistakes. If you think you're not, then you're setting yourself up for failure. They are inevitable. What we need to do is approach the subject from the other direction. All we need to do is minimize the mistakes enough not to distract the listener. And that is something that's definitely achievable, especially with the help you'll get here. Make the consequences of a mistake one note only and move on. There must not be a cascading failure when you just fall to pieces in a heap of wrong notes. That we'll tackle more in other places, but you will find that nearly all your mistakes are traceable to memory lapses. So if we have a really robust memory of what we're doing with the piece, you'll find that the mistakes will nearly disappear. It's a case of changing your attitude as well. Just make mistakes less important. They're really not such a big deal. Making a mistake, or two or three, does not ruin a performance. One central theme that runs through all the videos in these series is that you must learn the technique of monitoring your own playing and your own actions like a teacher would. If I was sitting by you, I could tell you what to do, but I can't, so you have to do it yourself. Apply this to our good practice techniques, and we will then be able to cut out the mistakes before we get disillusioned by them. If you're studying your dream piece, and it's more technically challenging, which it most likely is, make sure that you don't make more mistakes for that reason. You might be wanting to get on and achieve it, reach the goal, but if you build in mistakes, then you're going to be ultimately disappointed. If it's really difficult, you might have to work on it in the background as a long-term goal, but it's unlikely, we've discussed this before, that you'll want to get onto it. Just make sure that you build it properly from the ground up, and then you will achieve your dream. Obviously, the big time we don't want to make a mistake is during performance. But we will have done a lot of practice and laid the groundwork, so this is unlikely. And the more groundwork and practice we do, the less likely we are to make a mistake. But sadly and inevitably, you will make a mistake of some form or another. And here are a few tips to help you. Listeners, interestingly, don't notice a wrong note if it's played with conviction within the music. they just do a double take and think, did I hear something or not? And maybe they're not even concentrating anyway. But they will notice a disruption in the rhythm. That is very noticeable. It's just the way we are. And if you hesitate, the mistake is already made. So try to get into the habit of keeping that rhythm going. And that means that you have to repair your piece on the hoof. If you've made a mistake and you stumble with your note, if you keep the piece going and you can repair it, then you'll be okay. Anticipate places where you're vulnerable. You can see them coming up and increase your concentration to make sure that you can give it the maximum amount of resources to get through that bit. And then once you've made a performance and you've made a few mistakes, just if you've got time, go straight on and put your post-it notes down. Make a note of what kind of mistake, what you did. And then when you come back to practice, you'll have it there. Although when I've found if you're performing and you make a mistake, it's something you just really don't forget. We could say that if we played a note that's different from the ones on our score, then that would be a mistake. But in fact, it's a lot less clear-cut than that. If we play a note in the chord, say in a chord that's not marked, but is in harmony with the key that we're in, that's more of a substitution or an alternative. We won't notice a grating mistake. It'll just be passed over as something part of the music. And that's where a knowledge of harmony is very useful, because it can help us make our mistakes less obvious. And even one in a scale, if you played a note that's different in the melody, it might actually sound quite nice, and you would be admired for making an improvement or something different. And this is obviously improvisation, and it can be admired. That's the whole point of some genres of music like jazz, where improvisation is a thing and it's all mucked about. You could say that's a mistake, but it's not. So bear in mind that a mistake is not just simply a wrong note. It's much more complicated than that, and it's a subject that we'll be studying in detail, practically and in theory, in Ben's weekly lesson on the website for subscribers. Okay, let's have a look at some of the things we've been talking about at the piano. And to do this, we'll play this piece from the film La La Land, which I'm sure you've heard before. I'll play it through. Okay, now I'm going to play it again and I'm going to make a mistake. I'm sure you heard the mistake. I played a B flat instead of an A, but because I kept going, most listeners would probably hear something, but they wouldn't be sure, and it's gone and there's no interruption to the rhythm. So the point being is, whatever you play, if you just play it convincingly, people will have a double take and they probably won't realise that you made a mistake in the first place. I'll play it again with a mistake in the same place, and this time I'm going to interrupt the rhythm. Now, to my ears, and I hope most people's, that interruption in the rhythm was much more disturbing and noticeable, and it was definitely a mistake. I'm going to play it a third time, and this time I'm going to make a mistake in the same place, but I'm going to play a note from the scale of the key we're in, which looks like E major 7. I went up to the C sharp instead of playing the A, and that kind of sounded quite nice. People could be even convinced that you were some kind of an artist. What I want you to take away from all this, that a mistake is a much more nebulous concept than just a simple wrong note. And if you can cover it up well enough, most people will not notice that you've made a mistake, and you will have made a convincing performance. There is a companion video to this one called Mistakes 2, and it looks at all the different ways you could be making a mistake and where they come from and what to do about them. So head on over there and see if we can help you.